Skeletons of the Marital Closet by Tang. Chapter 1551. That was the first time he visited the small county. He waited in the room for Molly to show up. However, he was stood up. Surprisingly, Joshua fearlessly burst in, climbed onto him, and sat on his lap. Moreover, Joshua's opening line was to ask if he was single. Joshua said, "I was bullied by a few kids who said I didn't have a dad. Out of anger, I got into a fight with them. When their parents surrounded me, Shawn suddenly appeared, helped me out, and scared those parents and unruly kids. But when we met again later, Shawn was different. He had changed completely. He never treated me so well again." Men are truly fickle. Gale was about to say something when Shawn said, "It's okay. I can wait for the day you're willing to call me Daddy." "Joshua, I indeed haven't fulfilled the responsibilities and duties of a father. It's right for you to be dissatisfied with me. I need to step out for a moment." Shawn withdrew his hand and hurriedly walked out. "Shawn." Gale watched his departing figure, biting her lip. "I really can't say it. Give me a little more time, Big Beauty. Are you angry with me?" Joshua asked. Gale shook her head. "How can I blame you? It's okay. I'll go out and make sure he is all right." Both she and Shawn were at fault. They lost the 4 years that should have been spent building a foundation of affection with the children. Gale followed him out. Joshua's eyes gleamed cunningly. How could he let Shawn get his way so easily? Joshua saw through it. Shawn was currently angry with Gale because she hid him from Shawn. There was a hint of sarcasm in Shawn's words as well. Joshua understood it all. Fine. Since Shawn blamed Gale for concealing his identity, he would blame Shawn for treating him badly. Only when Shawn forgave Gale would he do the same, tit for tat. Joshua was really troubled for the sake of his parents' relationship. "I've done my best. Mommy, I can only help you up that much. The rest is up to you," Joshua muttered to himself. "Speaking of which, you also have some shortcomings, but I will support you and not stand on Shawn's side. You have to elevate your status in the family a bit. Be like a proper mistress of the house, okay?" Joshua shook his head. "You wanted me to call you Mommy? I did it. However, Shawn saw through it at a glance. If he were not still injured, he really wanted to run to the door and eavesdrop on what Daddy and Mommy were saying outside. Joshua's curiosity was itching. Outside the ward, Shawn stood quietly with his hands behind him. He did not turn his head when he heard someone behind him. Gale tugged at his sleeve and gently shook him. "Are you sad, upset, annoyed, or angry with me?" Shawn pursed his thin lips. "You were a bit harsh on Joshua." Gale said, "I couldn't bear to watch, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you the truth. That led to the increasingly strained relationship between you and your son." Chapter 1552. Her tone softened. "Give Joshua some time, okay? Spend more time with him. I'll talk to him. He will call you Daddy in no time." Gale tugged at his sleeve, swaying gently. Her voice was both soft and tender. She looked innocent and pitiable with her big, watery eyes fixed on him. Shawn could not resist. He sighed softly and reached out for her hand. "This is my fault. If you knew Joshua was your son, you would not have treated him like that, and he wouldn't hold a grudge." Gale took a step forward, leaning onto him. "Take it easy, okay? Should I apologize? Or should I give you a kiss so you'll feel better?" Shawn could not resist Gale's gentle plea. He held her waist, pulling her into his embrace. "A kiss?" "Yes, a kiss for my husband." Gale nodded. Shawn gulped. Suddenly, her sudden display of affection made him a bit restless. If they were not in a hospital, he would press her against the wall and kiss her passionately until she could not stand anymore. Gale, do you think I can't do anything to you now? Shawn said. It's just a kiss. We're married. It's perfectly normal. His expression had already darkened, and his gaze focused on her collarbone, moving slowly upward, staring at her red lips. Gale teased him not only with words, but also with her actions. She raised her hand, encircling his waist. I anticipated that you would be angry and upset with me when you found out Joshua is your son. I've been thinking about how to appease you, but I couldn't find a good way. You blame me for hiding him from you, but you are even angrier that I hid the fact that I am Molly from you. Shawn responded, Yes, Gale, it's been hard for me. I've made a full confession. You must not bring up this matter again, blame me, or make sarcastic remarks. Understand? Gale said. He raised an eyebrow slightly. Gale, are you threatening me now? I'm negotiating with you, not threatening, Gale said. Shawn tightened his grip on her waist. Let's discuss it slowly when we get home. His gaze was laden with a hidden intention. Gale understood he would not let her off so easily. Even if he did not care anymore, he would deliberately use this to exploit her. Shawn finally had leverage on her. How could he easily let it go? He would milk this opportunity. Gale swallowed hard. I have to take care of Joshua in the hospital. I can't go back home. Someone has to stay by his side at night. He always complains of pain. When the wound scabs, it will start itching. I have to stop him from scratching. No problem. We have a lot of time ahead of us, Shawn said. They still had many, many years together. No rush at this moment. Really? When Joshua recovers and is discharged, do you still want to settle scores with me? Gale looked pitiful. Shawn asked, Why not? You can settle scores now. He looked serious. No time now. Gale was almost in tears. Shawn lowered his head to her ear and whispered, Gale, do you understand what I need to be appeased? Chapter 1553. She buried her head in his chest. If I convince Joshua to call you daddy now, can you let me go? No. Why? No reason. Gale bit her lip. Actually, Joshua accepts you. If he truly dislikes someone, he won't bother or even say a word. He talked to you, and that meant he acknowledged you. Is that so? Yes, trust me, I know my son. He doesn't dislike you. Then why won't he call me daddy? Gale answered without hesitation. Pride. You haven't called him son or showed that you care. How could he willingly call you daddy? She poked his chest. This is all up to you. That put Shawn in a difficult spot. His way of dealing with Joshua had always been mutual appreciation mixed with mutual disdain. Now, with the sudden realization that they were father and son, turning around their relationship was indeed challenging. Shawn could not adopt the same tactics as he did with Nicole. Joshua was not someone who could be won over with hugs and kisses. The father and son were stuck in a stalemate. Perhaps with time, they could improve their relationship. Let's leave it for now and take it one step at a time, Shawn compromised. Be sincere. Look, when I initially brought Nicole back to you, she also resisted you a lot, but now she calls you daddy. When you truly win over Joshua, you'll experience the joy of having a son, Gale pointed out. The joy of having a son? Shawn pursed his lips. Surely it was not worry-free. Joshua was quite mischievous. He was not the kind to make a lot of noise and create trouble, but rather, he was clever and cunning. He would always cause mischief that was hard to find fault with. He had his logic and principles. In general, if an adult did not have a sharp mind, they would not be able to argue with him. Gale nodded. Joshua is sensible, intelligent. He inherited your intelligence. When he grows up, he'll surely be outstanding. Yeah, when he grows up, he can take over the executive management role. You only want him to work for Nicole? Shawn asked. Are you feeling sorry for him? We should treat them equally. It's not good to favor girls over boys. I don't really want Nicole to manage the company. It's too tiring, too much responsibility. The Wood family has enough money for her to spend a lifetime, and she won't be mistreated. Let the hardships be handled by Joshua. Daughters were made to enjoy life every day. Sons were meant to inherit the family business and bear responsibilities. When the siblings grow up, they will have their own opinions and can decide on the distribution of shares themselves. Shawn was quite confident in his parenting style. Chapter 1554. His two children would surely not prioritize money above all else. Shawn had confidence in Gale too. She had raised the two children well. Joshua and Nicole surely valued their bond over all else. When Joshua was living away, Nicole talked about her brother daily. She thought about him while eating, doing everything with him in mind. Despite returning to the luxurious life at Temperley Hall, she never forgets her brother. She even kept trying to hint at Shawn subtly, but unfortunately, Shawn remained oblivious. You're really jumping ahead of yourself. Maybe Nicole will be a career-oriented strong woman in the future, while Joshua will be a carefree young master. Gale chuckled. The children would have to find this out themselves. We can't control them that much, Gale. True, each person has their own path. Parents cannot accompany their children throughout their lives. Gale lifted her chin, lightly poking his chest. You seem to be quite open-minded. If only you could be this open about other things. Do you want me to let go of the fact that you hid Joshua from me? She smiled, tiptoeing to kiss him. Yes, you caught me. Her intentions were crystal clear. She could not hide anything, so she admitted it openly. Shawn tilted his head to avoid her. A kiss won't erase everything, Gale. It's not that simple. He avoided her, but she insisted on kissing him. Gale practically hung on him. She was rarely so affectionate, but Shawn did not buy into it. A brief and light kiss would not sway him. Why are you avoiding me? Don't you like me anymore? Do you like someone else? Gale clung to his shoulder, trying to pull his neck down. Hey, Shawn! Right then, someone coughed. It sounded artificial, like a reminder. Gale was startled, stiffly turning her head to look. It was Lucas and his housekeeper. They could not hide his amusement and struggled to hide their laughter. At this moment, Gale really wanted to crawl into a hole. She was so embarrassed that she was caught in her situation. It was her first time being affectionate and kissing like this. She had never done it before. It was Shawn who was so forward, and she was typically passive. Lucas probably had an even firmer belief that she was a harlot. Putting Shawn under a spell and displaying such intimate affection in public. How could she get out of this with grace? Gale gave Shawn a helpless look. Sensing Gale stiffening up, Shawn gently retracted his hand, pulling her behind him. He knew she had a thin skin, but was so embarrassed that she could hardly speak. Grandpa, you're here, Shawn calmly said. Chapter 1555. He acted as if nothing had happened. remaining extremely calm. Yes, I seem to have come an inconvenient time. He should have come a bit later. Lucas has been standing there for several minutes. Seeing that Shawn and Gale had not noticed him and showed no intention of stopping, Lucas had to speak up. He was anxious to see his grandson. "What brings you here? You should have notified me in advance," Shawn asked. The housekeeper beside him explained. Lucas went to visit Peter. It was only then that he learned about Joshua. He was extremely worried and excited, so he hurriedly came to the hospital to see Joshua. Lucas had patiently waited for Shawn and Gale to continue their affectionate antics. He tried to be patient. Lucas could not wait any longer, prompting the intentional cough to interrupt them. "So you came to see Joshua?" Lucas approached with his cane. "Yes, is he awake? Was he frightened? Oh, what a poor child. So young. Such a disaster." "Joshua is awake." "Really?" Lucas' eyes lit up. "Quick, let me see him." He had been eagerly anticipating seeing his great-grandson. He was already content with Nicole. At least the Wood family would have successors. Otherwise, he worried that Shawn would not have any more children after Gale died. The Wood family would end its lineage. Nicole brought great joy to Lucas. Never did he think he would have a great-grandson too. Lucas also glanced at Gale before entering the ward. "You've done a great job, Gale. Truly, you've worked hard. You've given birth to 2 children for the Wood family. Continuing the family line, good job." She was so fertile that she gave birth to twins. Lucas smiled widely. "I must reward you generously, Gale. If you want anything, just tell me. I will give you anything, even if it would bankrupt our family." "No need. I gave birth to Joshua and Nicole, not for rewards or recognition from the Wood family," Gale replied. "Gale, you misunderstand me. I don't treat you as a baby-making machine. Knowing your hardships over these years, I'm genuinely happy. You even raised the children alone. Anything you want is well-deserved." "As long as Joshua and Nicole are safe and healthy, I'm content." Lucas nodded repeatedly. Of course, the children are more important than anything else. His greatest wish was for the Wood family to have male and female descendants, continuing the family line. Suddenly, his long-cherished wish had all come true. He was so happy. "Grandpa, stay calm. Excessive joy can also harm the body," Shawn reminded. "Are you saying I would be so happy that I'll faint?" "Yes, something like that." "How is that possible?" Lucas said while eagerly walking into the ward. Joshua was lying on the hospital bed in boredom. His wounds hurt. His left wrist was in a cast due to a fractured bone, and his right hand was connected to an IV drip, preventing him from moving his neck and hand. Chapter 1556. So Joshua could only lie there, bored out of his mind. Every part of his body seemed to ache. However, he was too proud to complain about the pain. He needed something to distract himself. He wished he had supersonic hearing to eavesdrop on the conversation between Shawn and his mother outside the door. The door soon opened, and it stunned him. "You're back? Huh?" Who was this white-haired old man? Joshua asked. "Old man, did you walk into the wrong room?" Lucas was ecstatic, and his eyes lit up upon seeing him. "No, this is the place." Lucas hurriedly walked to the bedside, feeling heartache and pity. "Dear great-grandson, you must be in pain. Oh, I wish I could bear this injury for you." Joshua was bewildered. "Lie down and rest." Lucas wanted to pat his head, but hesitated, afraid of causing him more pain. "Why are you so thin? You need to eat more. Later, we'll get you all the best food." "Oh dear, my poor great-grandson." While Gale treated Joshua a little better than usual, Lucas' treatment seemed a bit over the top. She whispered to Shawn, "Is Lucas being excessive?" "Not at all." Gale clicked her tongue twice. "So, when you were young and accidentally got hurt, did Lucas act more dramatic than this?" "I only remember that when I hit my leg against a desk, causing a bruise. He replaced all the desks in the school overnight with desks with round edges." "Are you serious? How did you feel back then? Confused?" Gale asked. "I didn't understand why he did it, but now I do." "What do you understand now?" "If Nicole were to get injured at school, I would replace everything that caused her harm." Shawn suddenly recalled something. "Oh, by the way, remind me, are the edges of the desks at Nicole's school sharp?" "What are you trying to do?" Gale asked. "If they're sharp, I'll replace them all just in case," Shawn said, taking out his phone to call someone. Gale sighed. Was this the norm in wealthy families? Joshua looked at the elderly man before him and asked, "Are you?" "I'm your grandfather, Joshua. This is the first time I've seen you, and you're seeing me for the first time too, dear great-grandson." Lucas quickly introduced himself. "Great-grandfather? So you're Shawn's grandfather?" Lucas nodded. "Yes, yes. If he ever mistreats you or bullies you, you come to me. I'll help you give him a good beating." Upon hearing that, Joshua's eyes also lit up. Yes, no matter how powerful Shawn was, he had an elder he could turn to now. In the future, if Shawn dared to upset him, he could directly complain to his great-grandfather. Shawn would not dare to confront his grandfather, right? Okay, he had found Shawn's weak spot. Lucas looked at him affectionately. "I haven't been here for you. I feel guilty. Do you resent me?" Chapter 1557. Lucas was extremely nervous. He genuinely worried that Joshua would not take him as his great-grandfather. Who knew? "Great-grandpa! Why would I blame you? I like you a lot." Lucas' eyes welled up with tears. It was so touching. "My dear great-grandson." Lucas gently touched his head. Seeing that Joshua did not avoid his display of affection, his heart melted. He might be old, but the descendants of the Wood family were thriving. Joshua was always good at sweet talking. Everyone was charmed by him. They all treated him with extra care and praised him everywhere they went. "Great-grandpa, I'm injured and can't move. Otherwise, I would definitely hug you and hold your hand. When I recover, I'll do that, okay?" Joshua said. Lucas agreed readily. "Okay." When a great-grandson, so sensible, articulate, and extroverted. With him, the Wood family's ancestors could rest in peace. "Great-grandpa, I used to envy my friends who had grandparents. Never thought that I would have them all. I even have a great-grandpa. I am much cooler than them." Lucas nodded repeatedly. "Having a great-grandfather is very cool. I can protect you. With me around, no one can bully you." "Can Shawn bully me?" "Of course not." Lucas pointed his cane and said, "If he dares to mistreat you, tell me. I'll beat him with his cane." He even warned Shawn with a glare. "Did you hear me? Treat Joshua well." Shawn pursed his lips, silent. It was not the time to say anything that might dampen Grandpa's excitement. Otherwise, he would really smack Shawn with the cane. Shawn had received quite a few hits from that cane in his childhood. Seeing Shawn silent got Joshua even more excited. Finally, a day came when he had leverage. Gale looked at what was unfolding before her with amusement and exasperation. She was witnessing the loving bond between a grandparent and a child. Elderly folk usually showered the younger ones with excessive love and care. Last time, when she twisted Joshua's ear, her parents scolded her. This time, Shawn received a warning from Lucas before he had even done anything. How are we going to parent our kids in the future? No more physical punishment and scolding are also off the table? What are we going to do? Gale said to Shawn. Shawn, ever composed, replied, There are plenty of ways to handle him, Joshua said. Great-grandpa, Lucas responded eagerly. What's the matter, dear great-grandson? Well, Shawn hasn't mistreated me, but... Joshua had a hesitant expression. Shawn coldly snorted. Gale could not help but shiver. She knew Joshua was about to start his act. Lucas said, But what? With me supporting you, you can say anything. Don't be afraid. Joshua deliberately glanced at Shawn. Chapter 1558. Shawn rolled his eyes despite being usually calm and collected. Unfortunately, Lucas caught him in the act. What did you do to Joshua? Look at how scared you've made the child. He's keeping things to himself. What could have scared him? Shawn had never seen Joshua scared. You don't understand. Step aside, step aside. Stay away from my dear great-grandson. He's too scared to say anything, Lucas scolded. Impatiently, Lucas shooed Shawn away, then looked at Joshua with a smile. Speak up, don't be afraid. Joshua pouted and said, Shawn said he won't give me shares of the company in the future. What? He also said he prefers his daughter over me. What? Unable to bear it any longer, Shawn tried to explain. Lucas interrupted him. Shut up. Joshua almost burst into laughter at Shawn's predicament. In fact, it's not about the shares. What he said hurt me, Joshua continued, still pouting, looking pitiful. Lucas hurriedly comforted him. What he said doesn't count. With me here, he won't mistreat you. Really? Of course. You and Nicole will each get equal shares. Both you and Nicole are the heirs of the Wood family fortune. You are equal. Whatever you have, Nicole will have. Conversely, if Nicole has something, you'll have your share. It's the modern age now. The outdated concepts of favoring daughters over sons are nonsense. I love both of you, Lucas said with great emphasis. Joshua asked, Shawn, do you share his views? Could Shawn answer differently? Of course not. Moreover, he did hold the belief of gender equality. However, Joshua's deliberate questioning displeased him. He did not like Joshua's triumphant look. Seeing Shawn remain silent, Lucas lifted his cane and gave him a light tap on the leg. Are you mute or deaf? Joshua asked you a question. Joshua quickly spoke. It's okay, great-grandpa. Don't hit Shawn. He often does this. I'm used to it. Is that so? Does he often ignore you? That won't do. Maybe I haven't done well enough, Joshua said with a hint of self-pity. You've done well. It's him who hasn't. Shawn, what's wrong with you? Why do you treat your son like this? Lucas said. Shawn's thin lips almost straightened into a line. The truth is that Joshua still refuses to call me his daddy. Unexpectedly, Lucas said. It's no wonder he's reluctant. Look, as soon as I arrived, he called me great-grandpa so affectionately. Why is that? Reflect on your behavior. Still speaking, Lucas walked out. Shawn, come out for a moment. Shawn glanced at Joshua. Gale said nonchalantly, Well, who asked you to have such a sneaky son? Even I've fallen victim to him. Chapter 1559. Joshua played the part of a wounded child so well. He planned to rely on his great-grandfather in the future. Shawn turned away. When everyone left, Gale gently tapped his nose. You. What did I do? What did I do? Joshua blinked his eyes, looking innocent and teary. I haven't done anything, Mommy. He even imitated Nicole's tone. Both siblings had large and adorable eyes, resembling Gale, making them extraordinarily charming. When Joshua grows up, he will undoubtedly captivate numerous girls and become the crush of many. Gale shivered. Behave, please. Why, Mommy? Joshua? All right. Are you worried about your husband? Joshua pouted. She was speechless. If I weren't hurt, you would have twisted my ear off by now. I must make the most of my injury, Joshua said. Gale asked, Haven't you done enough? You almost risked your life. That was to save you. It was not an act. Okay, settle down. Gale glanced at the door. Now, he is going to scold Shawn all because of you. Joshua looked at her with disdain. What? What's with that look? He's still upset with you for concealing my identity and blaming you. Yet you're feeling sorry for him? Sigh. Big beauty. Feeling sorry for a man is the first step to misfortune. Joshua shook his head repeatedly. Where did you get that twisted theory? This is the truth. Gale pressed on. What's the second step of misfortune then? Being soft-hearted toward a man. And the third step? Spending money on a man. Spending money on a man will bring you misfortune, Joshua said. Gale casually replied, Oh, it's me spending Shawn's money. Joshua was momentarily speechless. Finally, she got him to shut up. However, Joshua quickly recovered. You'd rather have some standards and show some resistance. Usually, women are the ones who should be angry at men, not the other way around. Too bad my destiny brought me to Shawn. You can always find a new one. Gale wanted to shut his mouth. Lucas was looking pleased. I'm already content with Nicole. I never expected to have Joshua as well. Shawn, what a blessing for our family. Yes, Shawn nodded. Well, she endured a lot on her own these 4 years. She's indeed not had it easy, raising 2 children alone. I also understand why she chose to keep Joshua's identity a secret. Lucas sighed. It's our fault. I caused her to hide her children. Chapter 1560. Lucas felt that he had been too harsh with Gale. Gale had never done anything to betray the Wood family. It was the Wood family that owed her too much. Treat her well from now on. She has sacrificed and given too much for you. We need to make it up to her, Lucas said. Shawn replied lightly. Some things can't be compensated for. We can only do our best. That's true. However, your relationship with Gale will affect the children. Do you understand? Lucas had observed their relationship all along. He saw clearly how difficult and exhausting their relationship was. Grandpa, I will do everything in my power to sincerely keep her by my side as my wife. I want her to love me. I will only love her. Lucas patted his shoulder. I'll be waiting for your good news. Hopefully. As expected. Shawn, I wish you success, Lucas said. Shawn slightly hooked his lips. I am confident. Good, good. Lucas laughed heartily. Excellent. After seeing Lucas off at the hospital, Shawn returned to the ward. Joshua was asleep, and Gale was dozing off by his bedside. She had been exhausted from the previous night. Shawn gently picked her up and laid her on the sofa. He then took off his suit jacket to cover her. His gaze was filled with unparalleled love for her alone. Gale's phone lit up from an incoming message. The screen lit up with a notification from Arum. It said, Natalie's funeral will be held tomorrow morning. Shawn withdrew his darkened gaze. Natalie might have died, but some things did not end with her death. He was not concerned about Natalie's life or death. He was concerned about the secrets revolving around her death. Perhaps both he and Gale should attend the funeral, not because Natalie deserved respect, but because he needed to see Heather. Shawn reached out, silenced Gale's phone, and placed it aside. He sat down, opened his laptop, and started working in the hospital room. When Gale woke up, she saw Shawn's slender fingers tapping on the keyboard with a stack of documents lying beside him. She watched silently, still feeling drowsy. Shawn? You're awake. His hand reached over, ruffling her messy hair. Hungry? It's lunchtime. Gale grumbled. I just had the breakfast you bought for me. Now I had to eat lunch. It feels like I spent the whole day eating. Well, you need a lot of energy to take care of Joshua. As soon as he mentioned their son, Gale quickly looked toward the hospital bed. Joshua was sound asleep.